Hey guys, it's the Nerdy Movie Guy, and today I want to talk about Christopher Nolan's Interstellar. When I watched this movie, I didn't know what I was going to expect. I didn't know how to feel in the beginning of the movie. But when I finished, I was all for this movie. It instantly became one of my favorites. And I don't know where to begin, so we're just going to get into it. So I have the 4K copy of the movie, and the visuals are absolutely insane. When it comes to CGI, when it comes to visuals, when it comes to practical effects, all that stuff, this movie looked so great. It was one of the best looking movies I've seen in such a long time. So, when we get into the beginning of this movie, we learned that the Earth is basically dying. I'm not going to spoil too much for you guys about why, but we know that people being farmers is about all that's left to be on Earth as far as profession is concerned. And we have this guy, Cooper. Cooper is played by Matthew McConaughey, and he and his two children kind of try to figure out what they're going to do, what they want to do with their future. And Murph, his daughter, she's always aspiring for something more. And as we progress through the movie, she gets more and more screen time, a lot more than Cooper's son. So he just kind of becomes a side story, but his daughter becomes really the main focus throughout this movie. And as you probably had seen in the trailer, there's this organization that reaches out to Cooper, and they want to send him to space. And it's not really a multiverse movie, but they are traversing through time, through galaxies, and it's just such an intriguing concept. It's such an original story for this kind of a thing, and I was amazed by it. So the concept they take in the movie is they need to find some other planet somewhere that is habitable for humans so that they can continue the human race. The catch is this team that Cooper has with him, if they go to one planet, however long they're there, years is passing by on Earth. So Cooper is immediately concerned. He doesn't want to be gone very long at all because he wants to see his daughter. It's his little girl, and he doesn't want her to grow up without him. But he has to face a choice because some of these planets I have to go to is just time passes, decades pass on Earth, even if they're on this planet for 20 minutes or an hour. So it's one of those like mind movies where it keeps you thinking, keeps you guessing, keeps you wondering how much time is going to pass on Earth now. When they're on this planet, is something going to go wrong? Or is there going to be a delay? Are they going to be there longer than they had intended? And this just builds the suspense. It builds the story. The plot is continuously building through every frame, through every scene, and it just becomes more and more grand. One of the few things that this movie that I really found extremely fascinating is there's not a lot of ships or starfighters. It's not comparable to Star Trek or Star Wars. But there are ships in this movie, and I thought they had some really neat designs. And I think that's the thing that I found so cool about this movie is the lore they built around for this movie, with the ships, with the planets, with the time travel concept. It's not really going back in time, but time is affected depending on what they're doing in this movie. And it was just one of those concepts where, I don't know, maybe you guys heard of another movie, but I haven't heard of another one like this. And I found this movie to be one of my favorites. And toward the end, when we get to a close, when we are drawing closer to the final act, all the stories kind of blend together, and obviously, they're trying to find a planet where the humans can survive, and in the final act, it's not what you expect. There are twists and turns, there's a plot twist. When you're watching this movie, and you're getting to know these characters, you're falling in love with these characters, you think you know what's going to happen. You think, okay, here's the story. There has to be a happy ending. And what happens in the final act is just completely unexpected. As a viewer, I had no idea what was going to happen. I had my guesses, but my guesses were all wrong. And this movie just kind of leaves you with kind of this weird sense that you don't know how to feel about it. You don't know whether you're supposed to be happy. You don't know whether you're supposed to be sad. You don't know if it's supposed to make you wonder what the world will come to, if things that happen in the beginning of the movie happen for real. And it's just a very compelling, creative story. And it's one of those things where you can just fall in love with the characters and you could be invested into the plot, then you're all in for a movie like this. And this movie did it for me. Christopher Nolan is one of my favorite directors. I haven't seen all of his work, but I've seen several of his movies, and I haven't disliked a single one yet. And if I'm going to be ambitious, I feel that I'm not going to. I don't think I'm going to dislike a movie of his. Now, obviously, I have to check out the rest of his, but that's how I feel right now. And that's how much I love this movie. It was one of the coolest concepts I've seen for a movie, messing around with space and time. And my biggest takeaway from the movie is it felt separate and it felt original. Of course, the personal takeaway is in this movie, he's trying to have a relationship with his children, but as time passes by, you don't know if he can keep that relationship or not. So it's just one of those things that just makes you wonder, whether it comes to children, whether it comes to family or friends, if you're going to be gone for so long, it makes you wonder how will those relationships be affected. Is you being gone gonna benefit them? Is it gonna hurt them? And it just makes you think about these things. And I love a movie that makes you wonder about real life issues and concepts. So that's my take. Thank you guys so much for listening. Thank you so much for watching. Have a good one, guys.